bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest the powers of Sadashiva. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham
Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavaditam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyananda, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you joining with us watching Nithyananda TV, Kailasa's official TV channel. Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has taken the enormous responsibility to revive Hinduism. As part of that effort, Swamiji is working day and night to establish the Kailasa nation, the only Hindu nation. A very important of that aspect of Hinduism and of reviving the Kailasa nation, Swamiji has introduced to all of us the Vakyartha Sadhas and the Jivartha Sadhas, which is an open platform where anyone can come and freely have a discussion, a debate, a vada prativada of the greater truths. This practice is unique only to Hinduism, where it opens up and allows the powerful cognition, the truths, everything to be questioned for the purpose of a deeper understanding emerging from that debate. Let's go over some slides for today's Vakyartha Sadhas. As part of the revival of the Sri Kailasa nation and Hinduism, Swamiji has introduced the Vakyartha Sadhas to all of us, an important aspect unique only to Hinduism. For imbibing any truth, the first 25% happens when we listen to the truth from the Master. The second 25% happens when we imbibe the truth, allow the truth to go settle inside us, internalize the truth, doing the manana, internalizing of it. The third 25% happens when we have the Vakyartha Sadhas, when we sit and have the Vada Prativada, the debate, both these great truths. The third and the last 25% happens when we start living these principles in our life. When all of us, when we sit and we listen to Swamiji in the daily Satsangs, it's like eating the food and having raw food sitting in your stomach without being digested. Only when you complete the whole food cycle, only then the food essence is absorbed by your system and it is actually useful for us. In the same way, Vakyas, listening to the Master, is only one part of imbibing the truth. Only when we complete the whole cycle and do all the 25% parts, only then the truth will be completely imbibed in our system. Now, let's watch a small video where Swamiji, he himself, explains about the importance of Vakyartha Sadhas. Please stay tuned.
Listen. Manana, Vakyartha Sadhas every day will give you a complete understanding. Not only that, please listen, every time when you keep these spiritual truths in your inner space, analyze them, think about them, contemplate on them, every moment you spend on intra-analyzing these great truths, your incompletions melt down, you are living Advaita. Understand how much ever you struggle to find the solution externally, you will never find. You will never find the solution. What you expect externally, if you think, I'll finish all the work, I took it on myself or Swamiji gave it to me, and then I'll rest in peace. Never. Even after you leave the body, we have work for you. Understand, if you are expecting the external solution, no. You need to be told you are a fool. Wherever you really need to be told you are a fool, you should be told that is the real good thing for you. If you have some disease, you need to be told you have that disease. Only then you will understand the seriousness and start taking medication. Manana, intra-analyzing is really, really, really important. Because the life gets aligned to living Advaita with Manana. Shankara says beautifully, Shrute Shatagunam Vidyan Mananam Mananat Abhinitidyasanam Lakshagunam Anantam Nirvigalpam. The meaning is Manana is 100 times superior to Shravana. Intra-analyzing is 100 times superior to listening, and living is 100 times superior to intra-analyzing. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, living Advaita, is infinitely superior. Please understand, you need to listen and internalize again and again and again. That is why I am insisting on Vakyartha Sadhas. Even if there are 2-3 sannyasis in your ashram, start the Vakyartha Sadhas. Slowly devotees will start gathering. Everywhere, in every ashram, every center, just like puja is compulsory, Vakyartha Sadhas should become compulsory. More and more learning, more and more internalizing, more and more completion. Understand, other than the spiritual solution, there is no solution. How much ever you try to find any solution for any problem, whether it is personal, professional, organizational, intrapersonal, and interpersonal. Interpersonal is direct fight. Intrapersonal is cold war. You won't fight, but you will be waiting. See, it's like directly when you fight, it becomes like an equal fight. But I have seen many cunning fellows, they won't directly fight. They will wait. At some point, they will get that neutral person position. That time they will use that position and attack. When somebody else is attacking him and he is fighting with somebody else, he is a neutral person. Now come on, use that and attack. Violence. How much ever you hide, how much ever you keep inside, and how much ever cunningly you plan, finally it is going to stink inside you, not anybody else. Whether it is interpersonal problem, intrapersonal problem, organizational problem, professional problem, or personal problem, the only way anything can be solved is spiritual solution. Vakyartha Sadhas is the best way for a spiritual solution. Discovering spiritual solution for any problem.
Yes. Swamiji beautifully explained how for any problem you're facing in your life, how much ever you try to look externally, trying to find the solution for the problem outside of yourself, you'll never find it. It is only the spiritual solutions which emerge from the Vakyartha Sadhas, which come after listening, doing the contemplation, and having the debate. Those solutions should be lived in your lives. Over the course of yesterday's Vakyartha Sadhas, we have been discussing about why Sri Kailasa is needed as a nation for Hindus. We discussed that to bring more factual Hindus to become actual Hindus, not just as an identity that we practice Hinduism as a religion, but actually living Hinduism in their lives. They need a space to open up and tell all their problems and have clarity about their fundamentals of why life. How Hinduism is more than just a temple you visit on Sunday, but also like another phone or laptop you use in your day-to-day life. We had also discussed that whether it is building Kailasa, overcoming the obstacles we are facing to make that happen, or simply to enrich others with this lifestyle and context, the solution is one. Shedding our reluctance and embarrassment of our religion and being the real warriors Hinduism needs us to be. Let's go over some of the facts about Hinduism and why Kailasa nation is needed for us at this time. Hindus are a minority, either factually or actually. If you are in a nation where factually Hindus are a minority, or in a nation where Hindus are actually the minority, either way, Hindus are a minority. Hinduism is the third largest religion practiced worldwide, but in not a single country we are actually a majority. A few facts about Hinduism. Hinduism is the greatest science of life, absolutely life positive. Fundamentally, Hindus don't believe either in conversion nor in terrorism. All around the world, Hindus have proved themselves to be the most contributing communities wherever they settle, be it in the field of politics, be it in the field of technology, in finance, you name it. We are always there in the top. The Hindu constitution is secular only to Hindus. Those of you who are living in India will surely be knowing about this. How a lot of the temple related activities, like the temples, a lot of the Hindu related activities like the temples in Tamil Nadu, how the government has taken control over them, and how it is specific only to Hindu temples but not to any churches or mosques. Like this, there are a number of things which secularism is used only against Hinduism, but not against the other religions which are practiced within India. Actually, if you go back to the roots of secularism, it is a joint effort of Gandhi and Nehru which brought secularism into India. And because of the mistakes they have done in their time, we are still suffering for them even now. From Paramashiva to our rishis, who have given this superconscious based lifestyle for all of us, we are responsible to pass this great science for the next generation. We do not have the right to destroy what our masters have left for us. Making temples is great, but it is not enough. An ecosystem is required for the survival of this great science. 57% of Hindus worldwide do not participate in any religious activity, be it going to the temple, be it practicing the puja, yoga and meditation in the house. 57% of Hindus do not indulge in anything. With Kailasa being built, the Veda Agamas will become the constitution. Dharma Shastras are the jurisprudence, the legal system of the Kailasa nation. Manusmritis and Artha Shastras are the economic principles. Hindu universities and libraries will become storehouses for this authentic knowledge as a repository and for transmitting this whole sense to the whole world as well. The preservation of promotion of the Hindu medicine can happen, be it culturally, medically, economically, socially, politically. In every field, the Hindu heritage needs to be preserved and revive whatever has been lost as well. You are too big a nation, too great a religion to be lost just by the fear and greed of a handful of people. It is time we stand up and we take back what is rightfully ours, what our ancestors have left for us. Do the real duty, become real men for our religion, for our culture and lifestyle ultimately. Kailasa needs to be built wherever you are to keep Hinduism alive. Swamiji again and again gives the examples of Jews and how they have built Israel. Whether they live in Israel or not, all around the globe, Jews understand and know the importance of Israel. And all of them are contributing members to keep Israel alive, to keep Israel functioning. On Israel's half, Israel has taken upon themselves to go and help Jews back a few hundred years ago and help them seek asylum, seek refuge from different countries where they are being abused, mistreated, and so on. It was the joint effort of how worldwide Jews in power contributed to make Israel happen, and how Israel, once in power, reached out all over the world and brought back Jews who needed a place to stay, needed a place to live their religion freely, back to Israel. It is this which Kailasa needs today, which Hinduism needs today. Whether you live in US, you live in Australia, you may live in any part of the world, but you need to understand the importance of Hinduism. Need to sit and do little bit of research, hardly it's a 10-minute Googling, to see the impact, the positive impact Hindus have made around the globe. And we are capable of doing much more. But for that to happen, the Kailasa nation needs to be made, it needs to be preserved, it needs to be protected. And making this importance happen in all of you is our responsibility. So with this, moving on to the topic of today's Vakyartha Sadhas. How do NRI Hindus, why do NRI Hindus feel embarrassed about the religion, which leads to the reluctance of even associating themselves with Hinduism? What is the solution for solving the embarrassment Hindus feel and how we can make them be the real warriors Hinduism needs them to be. A few days back in Satsangs, Swamiji had beautifully said, were all the Hindus who have moved out of India and have migrated to different parts of the world. It is those Hindus who understand the importance of Hinduism only once they move out of the motherland. Understand the importance of how Hinduism has protected them from the time they have been growing up, with the understandings they have been imparted at the young age by their parents or grandparents or an elder in their community. It is those Hindus who have the most respect for Hinduism. Unfortunately, what has started happening is they are not able to impart the same feeling, same resolve of Hinduism into the next generation. Today's Vakyartha Sadhas is aimed at those NRIs, those who feel that Hinduism is a burden, is something which I have to be is something which I am ashamed of, not something I can openly go out and live. In case of embarrassment, which has even led to many of them changing their names legally. Why is it that Hindus are not able to be comfortable with themselves? Be it their religion, their customs. And what is it that we can do to make them shed their reluctance and make them the real warriors Hinduism needs? A warrior is needed to fight war. And at the time of war, we cannot be divided amongst ourselves. It is only more easier for the enemy to conquer us and win. We uniting ourselves is the first responsibility we need to take before anything else. The topic for today's Vakyartha Sadhas is how we can unite ourselves, unite all Hindus globally, and make them bring the same intensity how the Jews had to make Israel happen. Unfortunately, because of whatever reasons during the World War, it was brought in by force. We do not neither have the time, nor do we actually really want to go to that extent where we'll be persecuted like Jews to realize the importance of Hinduism. That's too far a reach. It's time we wake up now. Wake up ourselves. Pour the cold water on ourselves first. And help others also realize why they need to stand up for Hinduism now. How great that tradition is and how much of contribution it has already done to the world. Not just speaking in the ancient times, but in the modern times as well. Coming back to the question, why do NRIs feel embarrassed about the religion, which leads to the reluctance of even associating themselves with Hinduism? Before we enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Srinity Rajananda. I am a Balsana of the Nithyananda Gurukul. I was born and brought up in the United States, and after meeting Swamiji in 2009, had decided to come and join the Gurukul back in 2012. My father was an open advocate for Hinduism and for protecting our tradition. Growing up, seeing him speak to family, speak to friends, go to conferences and radio shows, continuously talking about how India is being degraded, and how Westerners and how secularism is converting and destroying what is left of Hinduism. It was something which he had instilled in me very early on. It's time we stop speaking and start taking action for reviving our motherland. With this, let me introduce the rest of the panel. Along with myself, also have Rajananda Maharaj sitting with me from Adi Kailasa Abode. Around the globe, we have devotees and disciples sitting with us as well. We have Murli Ayya joining us from Chennai. We also have Srinity Rajananda and Renoshan Edmund, both of them joining us from Canada. I'd like to thank all of you so much. Thank you for coming today for the Vakyartha Sadhas.
Nithyanandam. Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, I'm very glad to be part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you all for having me. My name is Srinity Rajananda, and I had the fortune of being Balasant here in the Nithyananda Gurukul and growing up with Swamiji's teachings and his vision of reviving Hinduism. As many of us have experienced, for me, Hinduism became more meaningful, and I reflect a lot with the NRI Hindus who are being addressed today, and the experiences that they go through, especially in the same way I have felt, where they have been embarrassed, where they have, in the same way I have been, and how Swamiji has helped me heal from those embarrassments, and given me such a power and strength in Hinduism, such that I can, right now today, say I want to stand up and fight for it, and say that there is a need for Shri Kailasa. So I'm happy to be a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. So, Mulliya, please go ahead and introduce yourself for all of us, for all the viewers. Go ahead, Ayya.
Thank you, Maharaj. Teacher. I have been with Swamiji from 2013. And I cannot say I had active seeking, but I did want answers to many questions. I cannot say I had embarrassment about being Hindu, but I did not know the meaning and purpose of many things in Hinduism. And I remember having a lot of debate, discussion, fight, argument with my elders at home about why certain things.
Yes, thank you so much, Mulliya, for joining us. Next, let's all listen to Srinity and Rajananda. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Then ending up becoming a Hindu monk, it was unexpected. And so I've really had to reconcile a lot of sort of growing up in the Western world with actually the Hindu lifestyle and values. And so I really had to answer the questions that is really facing a lot of NRIs is, what is Hinduism? And why is it relevant? And how does it fit into the Western world? And where does it come from? What are the differences about being a Hindu abroad versus in India? What are the different challenges? And where is it applicable and why is it needed? So that's been, that is really a powerful process to be guided by Swamiji to recognize basically the solutions to these types of questions. So yeah, that's this is just part of a lot of it is just we're missing a recognition, and so we're blessed with every opportunity from Swamiji to see this and to really share and enrich more people. So thank you, Nithyananda.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Ranoshan, you can go ahead and introduce yourself for all of us and all the viewers today. Please go ahead.
Nithyananda, everyone. My name is Ranoshan. I'm from Canada. My background is Sri Lankan. And I got to know Swamiji around 2013. And actually, one thing that I can really share about my experience with Swamiji is Swamiji really showed me what is life. Really, what is life and what life has to do with Hinduism. We'll expand on this as we go through the Vakyartha Sadhas today, but really, one of the really best things Swamiji gave me is this clarity about what is life. And once that clarity of what is life is there, you start to see how having a Hindu nation actually becomes a necessity. So this is just one thing I wanted to share, and yes, done.
Thank you so much, Ranoshan, for joining us today for the Vakyartha Sadhas. So coming back to the question, why do NRI Hindus feel embarrassed about their religion, which leads to the reluctance of even associating themselves with Hinduism? What is the solution for solving the embarrassment Hindus feel and be the real warriors Hinduism needs them to be? I'm going to go ahead and let Rajananda Maharaj share his powerful cognitions, his thought currents, his opinions about this. Please go ahead, Maharaj.
Nithyanandam. Yes. So when it comes to being embarrassed, as we have been discussing and many people have been addressing, the point is the lack of knowledge, the lack of depth of knowing why we do what we do. And more people are not embarrassed about the actual religion, it's just the embarrassment about not knowing what it is, what to do. The secular lifestyle has, and the consumeristic Western lifestyle has made people push the religion out onto the weekends. If you have the fortune of having a grandmother who's from your religion in your life, then she will be able to explain to you the stories and the reasons and the depth maybe behind why you should do what you should and why you should do it. And if you have even more great fortune, you'll have a guru who will be able to give you the correct information and depth in it. For me, it was like that. Before I came to Swamiji, I was we as a Brahmin, we get the Upanayam that happens at the age of 7. So at that time, I would be chanting the Gayatri mantra because I had to. In the morning, my dad does it, so I do it. I didn't understand. Even I was not able to understand the good feeling. What was the benefit my father was getting from it also, I was not even given to me. Rather, it was told that by everybody actually, even my relatives, when I was getting the Upanayam, there was no context given even. It was just told, look, you are now, before you get married to this thread. Literally, this was told. So you have to be committed to chanting this mantra every day and being wearing this yajnaopavitam all the time. That is all the restrictions they gave, literally. And I don't know, there's not much more depth about wearing. So I maintain that even when going to school, I would wear the yajnaopavitam and go. Of course, I would be a little embarrassed when I have to take off my shirt in PE class. And then I have string that's there. I didn't have an answer. I didn't have a way to tell people what it is. Only after meeting Swami, much of depth happened. First, spiritually, the Gayatri Mantra's meaning was what hit me profoundly. And even today, actually, it has a new way of looking at it also. Swamiji said simply that Gayatri is not a separate deity that you're worshipping or something out there. The Gayatri Mantra is simply you declaring you are in oneness with the cosmos and you worship. This clicked with me so much. I thought this was the best way to think of Gayatri Mantra. And that time after that I was actually wanted to do Gayatri Japam and chanting Gayatri every day. Just because Swamiji, I was not thinking of the mantra, I was thinking of Swamiji repeating the meditate that you are existence and you are in oneness with existence, and let that existence help me to meditate on it. This is what kept on repeating. Oh my God, let me worship existence, but let that existence also help me to meditate on it. This is actually one of the first initiations you're given. He gives it to every Hindu today. When anybody wants to be a part of Hinduism today, they can get initiated by Swamiji, and Swamiji gives the Gayatri Mantra Diksha first. And little questions about life. Who are you? What is this world? And what existence is intelligence. It will be able to give you the experience of oneness with it. It is big. Bhur Bhuva Suva. It is transcending. It is omniscient, omnipresent. We are declaring in the Gayatri Mantra. That is real. That is making everybody into a theist first, Gayatri Mantra. And then telling that that exists and you can be in oneness with it, and if you are not able to be in oneness with it, you can pray to it to help you to be in oneness with it. So always assuring that its existence exists. So I realized that Swamiji, when Gayatri Mantra in its origin, is actually a powerful cognition and a powerful prayer at the same time. A deep prayer and a sincere effort to become back to oneness. So after now chanting and doing the Gayatri Japa, you come back to that serenity and oneness, and it's a beautiful first step for anybody, especially if somebody takes it at a younger age, as the first steps. So I would say that those who are fortunate to have Swamiji and helping the NRIs coming to understand that there is a significance behind everything. And one more thing I wanted to add is, yes, we can go about questioning things, but one thing I learned is many things don't really have answers. But one thing is, other people find it sacred. Other people find it as a sentiment in their life, so they hold it in their life as sacred sentiments. Everybody has their own set of sacred sentiments, and there's a set of prescribed set of sacred sentiments, what we call agamas, or we call the Guru's words, or the way the Guru has taught us how to do puja. Those are like a prescribed set of sacred sentiments. But everybody has a set of sacred sentiments, and the beautiful thing is it passes on from generation to generation to generation. And us as seekers, we see other people's sacred sentiments and pick up and say, wow, see the devotion that Hanuman has towards Rama, let me have that devotion. See the devotion Radha has for Krishna, let me have that devotion. You pick up these sacred sentiments and say, I want that to be a possibility for me to live like that. So when you help NRIs open up to their religion, you help them see a new way of looking at life. The unfortunate thing is, it has become embarrassing in two ways. One is lack of knowledge. The second thing is a fear of being judged a fear of not being appropriate to the circumstances. They feel we have a low image about ourselves, that we think that we need to literally grow up to a way of behaving around people and behaving similar to them. But it is not actually a matter of even maturing. People actually think it's a maturity. Like after they take college, and in India also people experience that they stop when they go for their job or for work. They stop having their rituals. They stop having going to temple. They stop wearing bhasma. They stop those sacred sentiments because they feel they have matured into the profession, into the professional life, and they can now they don't have to live like that. But the unfortunate thing in the process of thinking that this maturity is a part of life, they lose all the benefit of all those sacred sentiments. You're only becoming professional and maturing only as far as your career. That is not your whole life. Your whole life has so much more to it. You're maturing as far as just your career, but your spiritual sentiments are deeper than that. They're a bigger part of your life. They're more important. They're the context behind why you do what you do. And this context is what the Guru brings into your life. So the solution, I would say, is just as much as we can singing and spreading Swamiji's teachings, Swamiji's ways of teaching Hinduism, Hinduismpedia, and Hindu Holocaust. We discussed about the Jews. So much, tremendous amount of wealth, money, and media, entertainment, and sentiments, and anger was directed towards the persecution against the Jews. Tremendous amount of that literature, tremendous amount of information was put out about them. Hence, they were able to give the whole world a view, an outer image about the persecution against them. Hence, they are able to acquire the sympathy of almost the entire world, that the world decides that yes, they should have their own country. How do we as Hindus come together and put the correct amount of literature, correct amount of thinking? Yes, it has happened in a time, the Holocaust for the Jewish have happened in a time, in the modern time, where the war for Dharma had to happen, and to wipe off this evil from the earth. That did a tremendous amount of killing, literally. But that happened, that was picturized, that was written in books, there's literature about it. It is just actually, fortunately, it happened in a time where the language was becoming more and more common. Actually, the ability of Shankara when he walked around India was that his depth in Sanskrit. And when he did the Vada Pradivada around and was able to convince anybody, it was because his depth in Sanskrit was good and his actual experience was profound, and his actual expression of Paramashiva was profound, but his medium of communication was also extremely clear to everybody. So in that same way, the Jewish have the fortune of having English language or the common languages in the modern day, where many things are going to be communicated. Unfortunately, we have also Swamiji who speaks English, who speaks the language that we can go around telling everybody with, and telling the answers to the deeper questions that they have in their life, and to deeper questions about why Hinduism is the way it is. And so we have the solution. We have Swamiji. He speaks in English. He is bringing about awareness about the Hindu Holocaust that happens. All this information is put so it can be presented to people, and people can make a sincere guess and an understanding about Hinduism for themselves, and have a proper introduction to it. As Swamiji says, Hinduism is the best introduction of you to you. And from there only, somebody's journey in Hinduism happens as a solution. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raja Maharaj. So next, let's go ahead and listen to Murreya share his thought currents, cognitions, and opinions about this. Please go ahead, Ayya.
In fact, idea that we have outgrown the need for that will not be there. If we just chant the mantra as a way of prayer, see, like Christians actually go to church on every Sunday. They read the Bible. They don't have anything more to it than that. And if we also chant like Raj Maharaja was saying, at once upon a time he was just chanting the Gayatri mantra without knowing what the meaning is, what the purpose is. After Swamiji explained it, he understood the whole thing. So like that, if we do it just as a ritual, as a way of routine, then the NRIs will tend to have any ridicule. But when we set the context, when we know the meaning, when we know the purpose of what we are doing, how it is a greater science, when we do with that more understanding and greater awareness, then nothing will embarrass the NRI or anybody, even in India. So we have to know the purpose, we have to understand, and this has to be passed on to the next generation. While it might be tempting to go to these countries abroad, where the standard of living is high, where the more monetarily it's more beneficial, it is always there. It is always tempting to do that. We have to also consider whether we are allowed to practice our religion. So if we have that consciousness and go to such countries where at least we are tolerated or not interfered with, let alone we actually encourage, I think it will be good. And these existing NRIs actually must practice the rituals, practice Hinduism in its in its fuller context, and actually pass on the same thing to the next generation. They can actually read more books and for this, or search for a guru. If the seeking is intense enough, some guru will definitely happen in their lives. They will ultimately fall in line with some sampradaya, and we can always live back Hinduism according to that. This is exclusive of what I'm saying, exclusive of Swamiji's teachings. Listening to Swamiji will definitely fall in tune with Hinduism, fall in love with Hinduism anyway. Let me talk further as an answer to further questions or discussions. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Muraliya. Next, let's hear Shri from Srinity Rajananda. Please go ahead.
Nithyananda, thank you. So why do NRI Hindus feel embarrassed about their religion? which leads to the reluctance of even associating themselves with Hinduism. So yeah, like Rajananda Maharaj mentioned, basically, Hindus don't really know what Hinduism is. That's pretty much the biggest issue, the lack of experience of what Hinduism is. When you have that experience, there's no such thing as reluctance. There's only powerfulness and more responsibility, and recognizing that more and more people need to have this experience. But it's, and so this is part of like, actually 2,000 years ago, India was providing 40% of the global GDP, and today it's about 10%. And this started to change around early 1800s. And actually at that time, the British census for the Bengal presidency estimated that there was more than 100,000 gurukuls in Bengal presidency at that time, which was anywhere between 20 and 30% probably of the landmass of the Indian area at that time. So extrapolating that, there could have been as many as 1 million gurukuls in the sort of greater Bharat space around that time, whereas today it's near finding zero. So I certainly know there's not 1 million schools in Canada, but 1 million schools were lost in India in less than the last, and that happened mostly between 1830 and 1910. Whereas at that time, people were deeming Hindus to be illiterate, whereas they were the most literate, creators of Nalanda University, and holding this tradition thousands of years before many other civilizations thought about what a school was or how it would be helpful. So that's sort of the second part. Even Rajananda Maharaj mentioned about that there's a lack of awareness of the decline of Hinduism and the Hindu Holocaust. So that's the thing. If you have the experience and you recognize that it's liberating, and then you realize that it's being destroyed, and that India is one of the most dangerous places to be a Hindu. It's a lot fewer Hindus get killed in Canada than in India. And so that's one of the other factors, just recognizing. And yeah, it's true, it's and the other part is there's 2 billion practicing Hindus around the world. That's 1/4 of the world's population. But there's not a single Hindu country. So many religions have countries as per their religion. If you've moved away from one of the traditional Hindu countries into other countries, and there's not a single, so there's no international body protecting Hinduism or standing up for it or teaching it or preserving it or reviving it or saying that it's important or necessary. So naturally, if there's no strong voices around the world saying that Hinduism contributes to Earth and standing up for, the true sort of even archaeological history. The Archaeological Survey of India was established with the head of one of the generals of the British Army, with the intention to basically co-opt the stories behind the archaeological sites within India to change the narrative. So when you get into the Hindu Holocaust, like when Jews speak, and Rajananda Maharaj mentioned this, there's a huge Holocaust museum in Washington D.C. And when Jews speak about the Jewish Holocaust of 6 million people over 6 years, they're responded to with sympathy and support. And just from experience over the past 2 years of even interacting on social media, if a Hindu speaks about Holocaust, forget it, that's it, overdone. Can't talk about that. But it's not 6, and Nothing to diminish, of course. Nothing should be said to diminish the tragedy of the Jewish Holocaust. 6 million lives is atrocious. So in Hinduism, we're talking about 1,000 years. As many as 1 million gurukuls exterminated. 500 million lives destroyed through rape, persecution, and murder. And today, moving into the anti-superstition laws, the looting of Hindu temples, government agencies such as HRC, Palgar, the recorded and televised brutal beating and murder of 2 Mahants of Akara in Palgar, and the intention is to. Nothing was even reported on it for 2 days until the videos accidentally came out. This was in the presence of dozens of police officers. So the thing is, if there's not a country, if there's not a constitution that recognizes the need and importance of the world's only living civilization, it's the only civilization it's the only proven way to live. It's the only civilization that was alive 5,000 years ago and is alive today. It's the only civilization that's proven it can survive without killing other people and can perpetuate life. It's the only proven way to live. So if there's no voice for this, then why would anyone feel it's valuable? So there's no country, there's no law, there's no political protection, there's no constitution. The constitution in India is secular only when it comes to being against Hindus. For other religions, it's supportive of them. So yeah, I just feel that these are 3 important points that Hindus have not had, unfortunately, the experience of what Hinduism is, and thus not knowing what it is. After 200 years of intense extermination of the education and the Hindu ecosystem in India, then naturally the recent generations have not had that benefit. And secondly, just a lack of awareness of that it's now or never. And there's no other opportunity except to pick up the responsibility of ahimsa and enriching. And so thirdly, that there's no country. So we need to stand up with enriching and show why Hindus are the most contributing diaspora around the world. It's because our rishis had the clarity and strength to know what humanity needs and to build it. And these are the opportunities for Hindus today.
Thank you so much, Atmananda. You've beautifully shared a lot of not just your opinions and thoughts, but a lot of facts as well. And with a lot of figures showing that Jews have gone through their persecution, no doubt. But the same light in which the Jewish persecution is showed in, Hindus are not able to get the same spotlight for our Holocaust as well. This is a serious thing which we need to work on actively, to change the light in which our Holocaust is viewed in. Because only when that happens, as Raja Maharaj shared, only when not only other people, but when Hindus understand that our Holocaust is now different from the Jewish Holocaust, only then making the Sri Kailasa nation happen will be possible. Let's now hear from Ronoshan. Hear his thoughts, opinions, and cognitions about this. Please go ahead.
Nithyananda. Actually, as everybody's beautifully shared, it's exactly this lack of awareness. This lack of awareness of what is Hinduism. What does it mean to be a Hindu? The lack of awareness of this is, I can say, really the root of what leads into the reluctance. As Sri Atma was sharing, the Gurukul, how, avoiding to remember exactly how many, but how thousands of Gurukuls were just destroyed within a few decades. See, this thing of the awareness of your ecosystem, the awareness of who you are and what your Vata Varana brings to you. See, in Hinduism, the whole thing is life positive. The whole thing, every aspect, whether it's what you're doing at home, whether it's how you engage with people, your education system, how you engage with work, how you engage with life, everything is based off of Paramashiva. It's based off of, it's almost like the owner's manual. Everything is very specific. Specific in a way where it complements your uniqueness. This is the beautiful part. And so even things like putting on the kumkum, how you put on the bhasma, all these things are specific to your unique growth and actually help you to explore life in a completely positive way. Not only this, but even on the scientific level, everything is extremely scientific. Everything is extremely precise. The effect of bhasma on the skin and the neurology. The effect of kumkum and turmeric. The effect of washing certain pots with certain kinds of oils. All these things are so specific and no detail is by accident. But we forget this. This is on one level of like attending to the home and lifestyle and these things like this. But even on the education system, how the children are educated, the ecosystem in which the children are educated, what the actual education, I can say, curriculum is composed of. All these things matter. All these things, when you know, when you are brought up with this awareness, with this space of knowing why you do what you do, then you have a confidence about it. You know who you are. When you know who you are, you can face the life. There's nothing that's, your very foundation becomes stone. But when you take this away, this thing of bringing in the lack of awareness, this confused space, this confused inner space, then when you start growing up as a Hindu, you start to feel a little bit unsure about why you do what you do. You know, somebody like your parents or society is telling you to do this, but you don't know why you do it, and so the confidence about it is not there. When the confidence is not there, it can be easily taken away and actually over time, not only forgotten, but intentionally removed or walked away from. One example I can actually share that's similar to what's happening with Hinduism is what happened with the whole of America, the North American continent, and actually South America. What happened with the colonization there and the residential schools. So the residential schools, I won't go into too much details of what they were, but the essence of it was to re-educate the indigenous people in a way that they completely forget their native heritage, that they forget the native lifestyle, and actually they forget who they are. And so the very root of who they are becomes completely shaken. And actually, it's in the residential schools that a lot of suicides happen, a lot of drug abuse starts to lead up in the life, and a lot of depression, all these things. So this lack of awareness of who you are, not knowing who you are, not knowing your roots, as somebody shares, this feeling of being orphaned, it actually has a huge impact. This feeling of being orphaned, one thing I can share is, again, this is personal feeling, but I feel like this thing of feeling orphaned is what leads to the reluctance. Not knowing who you are, not knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and then the whole life starts to lead in a confused way. There's no actual path. You're always looking for something to do. You don't know what you want to do. You don't know why you're doing what you're doing. But when you know who you are, Swamiji is now reviving the actual Hinduism as it is. The real, authentic Hinduism. Showing why we do what we do. Revealing the agamas as per Paramashiva. Swamiji himself, Paramashiva himself, is revealing Hinduism as it is. Why you're doing what you're doing. Why you apply the bhasma. Why you put on the kumkum. Why you do the yoga, what effect it has, and it's not even just on the physical body, but on the very inner space and the consciousness level. All the components of yoga, everything. Swamiji is reviving this. Hinduism is a higher science. For practical purposes and as per recorded history, we can say it's like over 60,000 years. But personally, just by looking at Hinduism, I can say even the word yuga is small to share how vast Hinduism is. Even the term yuga is too small to see how vast Hinduism is. Hinduism is actually a royal lifestyle. It's a royalty. Why would we be ashamed of being royals? It's a royal lifestyle. When you know who you are, when you know that you're royalty, why would you be ashamed of being royal? Why would you be ashamed of being a prince, a princess, a queen, a king? You'll be proud about it. You'll be bold about it. And actually take responsibility for the world. You'll take responsibility for not even just the global issues, but the local issues, end to end. And so just this lack of awareness is the main thing that needs to be addressed. Really seeing what is Hinduism? Why do we do what we do? This, and also seeing what we lost, what happened in the Hindu Holocaust. Actually seeing what is happening as it is, both who we are now and also what happened. Seeing that we can't just stand back anymore. We have to stand, we have to do something. We have to have a space where the Hindu principles are legitimized as a constitution, so that we don't have to compromise. See, even now, the reason why, I can say one reason why we're going from country to country is to, I can say, as Muralaya was sharing, to make a certain kind of lifestyle, because the standard of living is a certain way. But even in these places, we have to compromise on what is Hinduism as per the country's laws and the constitution there. So there, we're still able to practice, but there's a compromise. Having a Hindu nation, it allows us to live Hinduism as it is without compromise. Completely the royal lifestyle as it is. Completely the Vedagamic lifestyle as it is. So just this one thing of bringing back the awareness, knowing who you are. So yes, this is just actually the click that I got from what all of you have shared so far is a big cognition that's happening. So I wanted to thank you all for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Who actually ridicules, it will be those people who actually look at what is beneficial about the whole thing only in terms of material benefits, material comforts, material gains. That spiritual is something higher, deeper. The taste for that must actually stem from within. And only when we manifest it very intensely will even these people recognize that. Otherwise, only the person in that space will be able to recognize that there is this benefit that is happening within us. That is where the problem lies. So the existing people who are actually bad for who recognize the benefits must manifest it intensely so that it spills over even to the tangible plane and so that the ridicule stops. That's the best thing you can do is what I will suggest. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for your sharings, your thoughts, your opinions. As we discussed, the source and the root cause are many. We had conclusions drawn to where it is simply because the correct knowledge, the correct education about our science has not been given to them. Or as Roshan had shared, it is simply because of the feeling. Excuse me. It is simply because that they feel like orphans. They don't associate themselves with Hinduism. We continue this Vakyartha Sadhas, I'm sure we will be able to turn out even a few more reasons. And in the next Vakyartha Sadhas, a few more. But finding the sources of the problems are not the only job that we are doing. Bringing completion to that. Making them understand the importance of Hinduism in their life. That is our responsibility as well. Tomorrow's Vakyartha Sadhas. Focus more on how we can bring this out. What are some ways where we can actually go door to door, we can go and knock on their doors, ask for a few minutes of their time. Explain to them our Holocaust. Explain to them our Holocaust, as in their Holocaust as well. What are the correct truths and cognitions that we should give them? We should enrich them with. Make them understand the importance of Sri Kailasa. Make them understand that it is not something which will be done by a group of people and for the rest of the world to enjoy. This critical state, it's only when we all come together this can happen. Those of you who have had an inspiration, If we now understand the importance of why Hinduism is needed for the whole world, not just for Hindus, but for the future of humanity as well. We'll discuss more about that in the further Vakyartha Sadhas. But if you have had a click, an inspiration, a will to stand up now and take responsibility for being a part of this great revival, if you want to be a part now, all you need to do is send an email to send an email to esjp@gov.kailasa.org. We will reach out to you and tell how we can work together and make the Kailasa nation happen. I'd like to sincerely thank all the panelists who have joined here today with us for coming out, spending the time, doing the real work which is needed for Hinduism. We're bringing all these discussions to an open platform and bringing awareness to this. Now it's time to enter to the meditation and prepare ourselves for Nitya Satsang. Please sit with your head, neck and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes. Bring your awareness to your Anandagandha. Visualize Swamiji sitting there in your Anandagandha as Paramashiva. 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, start chanting the Mahavakya Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham and allow it to reverberate throughout your entire body. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.